this file actually comes on the DVD, and it's actually got a number of different setups for the deflectors. So it's actually worth having a look at this particular file if you actually want to see exactly how each one works in a very basic setup. Now I've laid it out into layers, and I've actually got multiple flows up here, and what we've actually covered so far are the normal deflector, which I'll just turn off everything here. There's the deflector, it's on. I'll just play, and you can see there are particles colliding with our surface and bouncing. This has got trails on the particles, which obviously makes it much easier to actually see what's going on. If I change our bounce to 0.5, you can see the particles bounce a lot less. There they go, they bounce along, and they come to a stop before the end. One actually drops off. And if we have a look here, you can see we've got a friction of 21. Put that to 0, they all fall off. We put it to 50, they come to a stop sooner. 90, even sooner still. And if we actually just play that through with 90, you can see it actually looks a little bit ridiculous. They actually kind of hop on the spot because there's just too much friction. So you would actually use a much lower value, which I used originally, something like 30, and that actually allows them to bounce along nicely enough. You can see they've actually got no chaos. If we put chaos up a little bit, now they'll actually bounce in random directions a little bit more, like it's an irregular surface, which is a little bit more natural looking. So that's the deflector. I'll just turn that off. Go on to the next one, which is the S deflector, which we've already looked at as well. I'll just hide that there and hide that. There's the S deflector. Here come our particles. There you go. They just strike the surface and bounce off it. So that's the S deflector. Move on to the U deflector. Again, we've had a look at this. And I'll just hide that and then hide the U deflector. You can see I've got a groovy little surface there for the objects to collide with. And if I just press play, there you go. You can see they actually slide down the surface and strike that little ridge at the end, which actually stops them dead. So that's very useful. Space swap, obviously, that's used a great deal. Now then, let's actually go on to the next set, which is the Omni deflectors, and we look at the P Omni Deflect first. And basically, once we've looked at the P Omni Deflect, all the other two actually, you know, they're pretty much exactly the same as the S deflector and the U deflector, in that one allows you to work with spherical surfaces, and the other one allows you to work with any mesh. So it's we'll use the P Omni Deflect as our example. I'll just turn it on here. Go back to frame 0, and we'll get P Omni Deflect here. You can see it's got a slightly different icon, and the actual icon represents pretty much the extra functionality that this particular space swap has, and that is it allows you to affect the motion of the particles as they pass through the surface. Now it's a little bit strange in the way that it works, in that if we have a look here, you have to have bounce turned on. If you don't have bounce turned on, if you have continue, then the extra parameters in refraction here don't actually have any effect on your particles. Same thing with reflection, because basically the first thing that option will do in the test is just allow the particles to pass straight through the space warp. So there are no options from that point on for choosing how it reflects or how it refracts and so on. So I'll just put this to 100%. There we go. And I'll just press play. There go the particles, they bounce along and they come to a stop. If I go to the bounce, you can see it's 0.5, the chaos is 11, that's fine. And if we actually have a look down here, we've got inherent velocity, which is exactly the same as the basic space warps, and you've also got friction. 52 is pretty high, as we know. I'll put that down to 25, and they'll actually slide along the surface a little bit more now. There we go. Maybe put it down a little bit lower. You'll often have to tweak these values to get them to be, you know, what you want in your particular scene. There you go. That's more like what we want with this particular space warp. That's looking cool. Now, an interesting thing is, if you actually have your particles, if you want them to pass through the surface, you just leave bounce on here. You don't actually need to change that. What you do is you actually change the reflection value here. Anything below 100% will allow that percentage of particles to be passed on to the refraction group. Now, if we put it up to 100%, that's probably the easiest way to show it. Sorry, 0%. That means all particles get sent on to the refraction group.